Barrage is a pretty perfect name for this paddle because when it's in the right hands, it feels like you're throwing a constant barrage of heavy, spinny balls at your opponents. This is Carbon's new TruFoam Barrage, and it's Carbon's more aggressive next step evolution to their TruFoam line, built for players who want that modern foam core feel, but with more dangerous offensive ceiling than the earlier Genesis and Wave paddles. Quick heads up before we dive in. Carbon did send me the Barrage paddles for free with no expectation of a review. They didn't see this video before it goes live. They didn't ask to approve anything, and all thoughts and opinions you're hearing are completely my own. I also have an influencer code with Carbon, which is Dink N Donut TFB. If you decide to pick up a Barrage and use that, you'll get a little bit of a discount at checkout, and it gives me a little kickback at no extra cost and helps support the channel so I can keep pushing out videos with new gear. So today I'm breaking down what makes the Barrage different from the TruFoam Genesis series, how the standard and hybrid shapes have been playing with actual feel on court, how it stacks up to one of the more popular fun paddles out there, the Bread and Butter Loco, and whether this paddle belongs in your bag as an everyday gamer or is it directed at just a dedicated attack paddle. So the design and what's unique about the Barrage. Let's start with the design because the Barrage is not just a reshaped Genesis, it's a more purpose-built weapon. The big story is still Carbon's TruFoam architecture, a 100% foam core built in layers instead of traditional polymer honeycomb. You've got central EP foam, an EVA ring in it that acts like a tuned power band, and then another EPA layer that extends out to the edges and into the handle. The multi-zone foam is what gives the Barrage its solid, connected feel and helps it resist spore crush and dead spots over time. On the outside, you're getting raw carbon fiber face with a gritty texture paired with a 14mm core on the Barrage line. The standard shape, like the one in my hand, feels balanced with more of a traditional silhouette, while the hybrid shape stretches things out a bit so you get extra reach, a slightly higher swing weight, and more plow through on drives and counters without feeling like you're a slow, heavy paddle. So specs and overview. Before we get too deep into how this plays, let's run through the actual Carbon specs for the Barrage models I've been using so you exactly know what's in my hand. For the standard shape, the Barrage 2, you're looking at 14mm core thickness with Carbon's TruFoam floating core and T700 raw carbon fiber surface. Average weight comes in between 7.8 and 8.2 with a listed grip size of 4.125 inches and a 5.5-inch handle length, and an overall paddle length of 16 inches by about 7.85 inches wide. For the hybrid Barrage, the Barrage 4 shape, you're again getting the 14mm TruFoam floating core with the same T700 raw carbon fiber surface, and the average weight range is also 7.8 to 8.2 with a 4.125 grip size and a 5.5-inch handle. And slightly different footprint at 16.2 inches long by 7.8 inches wide. So the Barrage versus the Genesis. If you've hit the TruFoam Genesis before, the Barrage feels more like a grown-up, attack-minded sibling. The Genesis line was Carbon's proof of concept for foam. More forgiveness, very even response, and an easy transition for players coming from traditional polymer cores. The Barrage keeps that foam consistency, but leans into more power, spin for aggressive play. The feedback is firmer, the ball comes off the face quicker, and the shapes encourage you to swing with intent. Where the Genesis paddles can feel more neutral and friendly, great for players who want a smooth, predictable response, the Barrage wants to be swung. The foam still keeps the sweet spot large and the feel solid, but the Barrage gives you more pop, more bite on the ball, and more explosive response when you accelerate through contact. If you liked the TruFoam Genesis feel, but wish it had just a bit more danger for drive, counters, and roll attacks, the Barrage is very much that next step. But how does this play in comparison to some of the other power paddles on the market, like the Bread and Butter Loco? The Loco is a classic fun power paddle. It's hot, it's punchy, it has great pop, great if you want to light up drives and counters without overthinking it. The Barrage plays exactly in that same sandbox, but with a different personality. The Barrage has very real power, but it's delivered through that dense foam core feel, raw carbon fiber spin, and the ball comes off heavy rather than just fast. With the Loco, I sometimes feel like the paddle is doing most of the work, and the margin can get thin when you're swinging big and hot. The Barrage still gives you easy offense, but the foam and the face texture combined with the ball just keeps it on just a hair longer, which makes it easy to dip drives, pull cross court angles, and keep big counters from flying long once you're dialed in. Now, let's go into the standard versus hybrid Barrage. Between the standard and hybrid shapes, there are some clear differences that show up in the right way. The standard Barrage feels quick and very maneuverable. If you live at the kitchen line and love hand battles and want fast hands with enough mass to punish the ball, the standard is a great fit. It still hits big, but doesn't feel unwieldy or tip heavy. It's really easy to get into position on fast exchanges. The hybrid Barrage stretches things out a bit. Think of it as a version of players who want a little more reach, a little more leverage, and a bit more plow through on drives and counters. You feel the extra length on overheads, attacks out of the air, and those late reach volleys at the kitchen. It's still reasonably fast, but compared to the standard, it definitely feels like a more offensive leaning between the two paddles. In terms of feel, the Carbon 4 and the Carbon 2 have the same core, crisp, dense, and responsive. The hybrid just gives you a tiny bit more weight in the head and a longer lever, which makes it easy to hit truly heavy ball if you're committing to the swing. Spin, power, and the on-court identity. Let's package that up into what you actually get in gameplay. Spin is one of the biggest selling points here. The Barrage lets you shape the ball in any direction, topspin drives, roll volleys, sharp cross-court dinks, and even heavy slice defense when you're under pressure. If you like to play with spin as a weapon, it really feels like the paddle rewards that, especially in the hybrid shape. Power-wise, both shapes give you more than enough juice for offense. You don't need to swing out of your shoes to generate pace, but when you do go full swing, you get that satisfying, heavy ball that dips late and makes your opponents feel rushed. Compared to the Loco, the Barrage is still hot, but the ball feels a bit more gripped and guided instead of simply launched. The identity of this paddle is very clear. This is an attack first foam paddle. It still offers consistency and predictability through the TruFoam core, but it's built for players who like to pressure, drive thirds, counter hard, and look for speed ups whenever their opponents leave anything high or loose. So who's the Barrage standard or hybrid shape for? If you're an intermediate to an advanced player who already has a functional soft game and you're looking to step into a more offensive, modern foam paddle, the Barrage is in the right lane for you. The standard is perfect if you value quick hands, kitchen exchanges, and a balanced feel, while the hybrid is going to appeal more to players who want extra reach and more imposing offensive presence. If you spent time with the TruFoam Genesis or Wave paddles and felt like they were just a little too neutral or polite for how you want to play, the Barrage is that natural upgrade. If you've enjoyed a paddle like the Bread and Butter Loco, but want something that feels a bit more dense, the Carbon Barrage may be the paddle you want to look at. On the other hand, if you're brand new and still learning your drops and resets, or if you flat out prefer a super plush, slow feeling control paddle that takes all the speed out of the ball, this probably isn't the best fit yet. It's designed for players who are ready to apply pressure and not just keep the ball in play. This isn't a mellow training wheels control paddle, and it's not a wild, unpredictable rocket either. It sits in that sweet spot where you can play smart, offensive pickleball, trust the foam, and stay consistent over time, and really develop your game that mixes spin, pressure, and good decision making. Let me know if you want me to compare the Barrage, standard, or hybrid directly to your current paddle, whether that's something like the Bread and Butter Loco, the TruFoam Genesis or Wave, or any other paddle out there. Drop your paddle and your duper and skill level in the comments, and I will compare it. And if this video helped, please hit like, subscribe, and share with your pickleball crew so I know to keep doing more deep dive paddle reviews like this. We'll see you on the next one.